So here we are with a Cub Cadet. It's an LT-1050 hydrostatic, and it's not mine. I don't talk about this a whole lot, but I'm a volunteer for Greencare for Troops, or Project Evergreen. And this is a Master Sergeant's lawnmower. And my volunteer job is to take care of a couple families at a time of deployed soldiers, just making sure their lawn's taken care of. And since I don't have my own lawn care business, I don't have an equipment trailer to run back and forth with my own equipment, so I prefer to use theirs when possible. So I met this new family. He's deployed, he's overseas, and I talked to his wife and said, you know, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to take your mower to my house and do some repairs to it. And the first thing I noticed, other than, you know, the scalp wheels and maybe you need some mower blades sharpened and whatnot, is the reverse is very, very slow. And so I started looking into linkage adjustments and whatnot, and I found a crack in the frame. The whole right side frame rail is just separated. And what's happening is you kick your heel down to push the rod backwards, and instead of pushing the rod backwards, it's pushing the transmission away from the engine. So before any real maintenance happens, I need to strip this thing down enough to repair that frame well. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See that bad frame right there? If I push that linkage down, you can see it separating the frame. You can also see that it's misaligned pretty bad where it's at right now. And I can see some other stresses on the chassis here and there. And so those are my concerns right now. Otherwise, I've got some guide wheels or anti-scalp wheels that need replacing. I see the belt's kind of out of alignment. I'd like to be able to make this thing lift up a little bit higher. When I lift this mower deck, it's just a cable. The rear lifts up much better than the front. The front seems to just kind of drag. So I don't know if there's a linkage adjustment or a rod or something missing, but we'll be paying attention to that when the time comes. Now, the reason that I bring up the Project Evergreen and the Greencare for Troops is because I know that there's a lot of people that have a little bit of extra time on their hands. And this is a nationwide movement or a nationwide program. And so if you do feel driven to donate some of your time, I'm sure that the families that receive the free lawn care or snow removal would appreciate it way more than you know. They're our heroes. They're out keeping our country free. They're out protecting our world, protecting our nation. And so if there's anything you can do to give back to a military family in need, it takes a couple hours of my Friday every week, basically. And I go and mow a couple lawns. And, you know, if I'm there and there's something else I can take care of, moving something or whatever the case may be, I'll do it. And it's just a way for, you to connect with families who have given their ultimate sacrifice of their soldiers' time, their families' separation, and you know, it's just a good way to say, hey, thank you for what you do. Well, here we are with the broken frame on the Cub Cadet LT-1050. But wait, there's more. Unfortunately, I found the other side is also cracked. So there's a crack there. There's a crack here. And there's geese outside making all kinds of noise. So both sides of this stamped frame are broken. I am not afraid of welding this up and doing some fish plates, reinforcing this. But my concern is what's going to break next. Maybe, just maybe, this 50-inch deck is just too much weight for this frame. So I just got off the phone with the owner. Look at that. And we agreed that this is not worth investing any money into. But it does cut pretty okay. The speed that her grass grows, we probably only have like, I don't know, 4 more mows in the season. So I got thinking, I think I'm just gonna fish plate these cracks. I'm gonna weld them up, grind them back. I'm gonna fish plate them. I've got some 2-inch by about 1/8-inch steel. I've only got a couple holes to drill and clearance. And I can put some like 8-inch patches on these cracks. I mowed like this. I mowed at my house. They're on a pretty steep hill. I mowed at their house. It did okay. It just had a weak reverse because of that linkage. And it didn't pick the mower deck up very well. And like I say, it's a 50-inch deck. This is a throwaway tractor, unfortunately. They didn't know that. But, you know, hitting roots and things, getting jarred, it takes its toll on this stuff. So I'm going to fix it. Probably not the smartest thing ever, but we only need it to last for a little while longer. So I guess follow along if you choose. So there we go. I welded it up and ground it pretty much flat. And then I made this little plate here. And it's crude, but it's going to do the job. And that hole right there is the one bolt hole that holds this together. And I made a little notch to go around this tab here, so I'll be able to weld to even more steel. And I'll get a few inches on each side. It should hold up for a few more mows. And I'll do the same thing for the other side as well. Pretty? Absolutely not. Functional? We will see. I got a couple dirty welds, but it's a lot stronger than it used to be. I do know that. I'm gonna get my needle scaler out and I'm gonna peen all those welds real good and give the paint something to stick to. Shoot a little black paint on there and move to the other side. If you've never seen a needle scaler before, it's just a whole bunch of little rods and there's a bunch of air shooting through here and they're all just bouncing. And what that's doing is it's impacting all those welds. And the idea of peening your welds is all the molecules, when they were hot and molten, they caused stress. And by just smashing them a whole bunch of times with a peener or a needle scaler, it releases a lot of that tension. So when you're doing a fish plate, it's a really good idea to do this step if you've got it. If not, you can also just use a ball peen hammer and just tunk it a whole bunch of times. Primer? Nah, not today, Junior. All right. Now we just got this one to deal with. And that hole kind of matters. That's the lift pivot. And, you know, it needs to be there. And it needs to be a hole, not an oval. But my big concern is this crack, how it comes up to the top here. You can see where it kind of branches out. And so there's a crack that ends here, ends there, and ends there. When you have a crack in a sheet metal like that, your best bet is to drill a hole at the end of the crack. And I'm going to see if I can just drill like a 1/2-inch hole and hit all 3 of those. But the reason you do that is so... Let's just draw on the dirt here. If you've got a crack that's extending here and you make a hole here, there's really there's no place for that crack to extend to, because you've created a radius which strengthens your crack. Then when you weld, fill that up, you've made it so that crack doesn't want to keep going past the weld. Done deal. There. I was able to capture with a 1/2-inch drill bit all of the cracks. I put a little chamfer on it just to kind of smooth that out a little bit and also gain some more strength on a radius, just like this would do, but as a section view. And now I'm going to grind my crack out and see if maybe I can open this up to the point where this touches, and then work on getting everything in line, get my welds done, ground in, make my fish plate here, and be happy, happy, happy. Using a round nose carbide burr, I ground a pretty good trench in that metal. And I'm going to weld up the top half, and then I'm going to prep the bottom and do the same. Yes, there is fuel in that hose. Yes, I suggest welding at your own risk. Well, it's peened and painted, and it's ready to cool down, put back together, and give it a test. As for the deck, I might just tighten some things up, put an edge on the blades, and call it good. New day, new mess in the shop, but look how much straighter that tower is sitting now. I'm pretty excited about that. I really didn't do any measurements, I just did stuff, fixed it. And what I'm going to do now is put it all back together and take it for a test drive without the deck on, and just see if my reverse needs any adjustments before I throw the deck on and take it for a little cut. Well, all that's left to do is hook up the battery and give it a try. I really hope this works out for the best, even if it's just for, you know, another season, maybe 2. Who knows? As long as we are aware of the frame not being in the best of shape, it kind of helps us plan for any other big repairs that may need to be done, or budget for a replacement mower. that's already a huge improvement on the reverse. And I know that that front hanger for the deck is flopping back and forth, so I'm not going to go on a big test drive. I think it's time to tighten up the wheels on the deck, give the blades a little bit of a new edge, and go for a test mow. Well, check this out. So far so good. The tractor's staying in place and the deck's moving instead of the frame coming down to the deck. So I got height out of the mower deck that I was looking for. Hopefully I'll still be able to reverse out. It's time to go check the mower status. Well, there we have it. It does the things it needs to do. I could probably stand trying to level the deck a little bit. I did notice some scalping on one side, not the other. It could be a loose spindle. I did notice some cracking in the deck when I cleaned it up, but it's much better than it was. It can do the job for the time being, and that's that. Anyway, if you feel like you have the need or the urge to donate some of your time, check out the Greencare for Troops or Project Evergreen in your area and see if there's something you can do. You know, it's kind of rewarding to meet some of the families who suffer in a way through their commitment to our country. And, you know, they're the heroes, like I said before. I just get to go mow their lawn. Have a good day. Talk to you later.